What is industrial organizational psychology? Industrial organizational is defined simply as psychology applied to work, APA 1971. It studies work in its broadest sense, including paid and unpaid effort, recreation, and any purpose-driven effort, sports, hobbies. Compared with other specialties, IO is more applied, putting practice above theory, since it typically aims to solve specific problems, increase efficiency, and maximize outcomes. Corporate ethics, group dynamics, individual differences, job satisfaction, leadership and management. Organizational behavior, organizational development, recruitment, work motivation. Corporate ethics can be defined in several ways: conceptually, operationally, officially, and actually. Conceptual arguments about the definition of organizational ethics focus on questions of stakeholder status and are defined by two theories: stakeholder theory and social contracts theory. Operational approaches to increasing ethical behavior in organizations may be more or less proactive and are structured around organizational mission and legal compliance. Official ethical standards articulated by organizational leaders may include ethical codes, but they are arguably less important than actual ethical expectations, which are closely intertwined with organizational culture. Whether organizations seek to define ethical conduct in a broad philosophical sense, describe current ethical culture, effect change in specific ethical problems, or maintain an ethical culture and climate, it is sensible to consider all of these issues in both compliance and strategic discussions and practices. In particular, an awareness of actual ethical culture and climate is a useful starting place for enhancing organizational effectiveness. For most people in work organizations, the organization as a whole is a relatively abstract entity. Their day-to-day work experience is shaped far more by the work group, team, department, or work unit than by the organization as a whole. The work group is their direct social environment at work and the most important social influence on how they experience their work. Moreover, organizations are increasingly structuring work to be group or team-based, where groups and teams rather than individuals are responsible for production and performance. This requires people to work in close cooperation with their fellow group members, and it makes coordination, cooperation, and communication between group members critical elements of task performance. The causes and consequences of group processes are typically understood within an input process outcome, IPO, framework, in which group processes, what happens in the group during task performance, are seen as the mechanism through which group inputs, resources internal and external to the group, and the organizational context, are translated into group outcomes, productivity, performance, or some other indicator of group effectiveness. In recent years, research has highlighted group processes as critical in this respect, including group information processing, group conflict, group members' shared understanding of, and shared feelings about, the task situation, and group efficacy. Individuals differ from one another behaviorally in myriad ways. Differential psychology, the scientific study of these individual differences, provides an organizational structure for this vast array of psychological attributes. By examining broad behavioral patterns and using systematic assessments of relatively stable personal attributes, differential psychology allows longitudinal forecasting of a variety of important life outcomes. Because much of the research in this area focuses particular attention on predicting long-term life outcomes, and because work is such a large and important feature of adult life, the relationships between many commonly investigated individual difference constructs and various aspects of work behavior, for example, educational vocational choice, acquisition of job-related knowledge, job performance, job satisfaction and tenure, are well understood. Individual differences attributes and the constellations they form differentially attune people to contrasting educational vocational opportunities, affordances for learning and work. From an individual's perspective, an appreciation of one's cognitive abilities, preferences, and personality provide invaluable insight for directing one's career development in personally rewarding ways. From an organizational perspective, one may use this information, available through measures of individual differences, to estimate the likelihood of desirable work behavior, for example, citizenship, job performance, satisfaction, and tenure. Creating optimal niches for personal development and satisfaction, for the individual, and meeting the environment's goals and demands, for the organization, may be achieved simultaneously using an individual differences approach. Job satisfaction refers to the overall feelings one has and the evaluation one makes about one's job. People with high job satisfaction experience a pleasurable or positive emotional state when they think about their job or job experiences. In simple terms, they like their jobs. Since early studies in the 1930s, job satisfaction has become one of the most widely investigated concepts in the field of industrial/organizational psychology. It is a valuable outcome in its own right, but also a driver of other important individual and organizational outcomes. The importance of this concept is reflected in its central role in numerous theories, such as those concerning job design, leadership, and employee withdrawal. A driver of other important individual and organizational outcomes. The importance of this concept is reflected in its central role in numerous theories, such as those concerning job design, leadership, and employee withdrawal. How much we like our jobs, our job satisfaction, is a critical concept in the study of work. Job satisfaction is likely to result in a number of positive benefits, both for individuals, their well-being, mental health, and life satisfaction, and for job or work situation. Our job satisfaction is also significantly affected by the work situation. In many instances, the work environment can and should be changed, such as by reducing excess workload, increasing levels of job autonomy, or introducing organizations, better performance, more citizenship, less counterproductive behavior, and less withdrawal. Importantly, job satisfaction can be changed. Even though our job satisfaction is in part a product of who we are, regardless of our practices to reduce homework conflict. Such change initiatives are especially likely to be successful in raising job satisfaction if one takes into account individual values and personality in this process. Leadership is the process by which a leader influences another person or group and focuses the followers' behavior on a goal or outcome. Persuading a subordinate to clean up his or her work area could be seen as a form of leadership, as could convincing hundreds of people to volunteer for disaster relief work. Influencing people and focusing that influence on a tangible outcome are fundamental components of the leadership process. Leadership can occur in a variety of settings. Either formal or informal. In formal settings, such as business organizations, individuals may receive a formal job assignment in which they are expected to lead other organizational members. This formalized leadership role is often called supervision. Although leadership and supervision are similar, there are some significant differences between the two concepts. Management, on the other hand, involves a more formal relationship. One person is formally designated to manage others, and that action is sanctioned by a formal organization. Management or supervision tends to have an administrative and rational focus, with the smooth and efficient operation of the formal organization as its defining feature. A supervisory role, once established, tends to perpetuate itself and is modified only by formal action. The leader of a group may change quickly, whereas a supervisor has a formally designated role that is fairly permanent. Part of what supervisors attempt to do is to lead people. So in actuality, leadership is a psychological process that can occur in the formalized role of supervision as well as in less. Formal settings. Thus, supervision occurs when someone who is formally designated and sanctioned by an organization attempts to influence, lead, others toward organizationally sanctioned goals. Organizational behavior, OB, can be defined as the study of human behavior in the workplace. More specifically, investigators employ the principles of the scientific method to help them understand, predict, and manage employee behavior. The knowledge that follows rigorous, systematic study is used to enhance the productivity of organizations and the quality of work life for its employees. Some research topics of interest within the micro-OB subfield deal with selecting and training. Employees, employee motivation, evaluating performance of individual employees, decision-making, and employee satisfaction and stress. Areas of investigation within Meso-OB include group dynamics, team effectiveness, job design, and leadership, to name a few. Some main areas of investigation at the macro-OB level are organizational culture and climate, organizational change and development, employee socialization, power and politics. Within the organization, conflict management and negotiation, and the interaction of the organization with its environment. Organizational development, OD, is a field of professional practice focused on facilitating organizational change and improvement. The theory and practice of OD is grounded in both the social and behavioral sciences. The field originated in the 1960s and has been evolving ever since. This evolution has been influenced by a wide range of disciplines including social psychology, group dynamics, industrial organizational psychology, participative management theory, organization behavior, the sociology of organizations, and even clinical psychology. As a result, the application of odd tools and methodologies, of which there are many, are carried out by a wide range of professionals. For example, although some I.O. psychologists also consider themselves odd practitioners, there are many others practicing odd with for-profit and non-profit client organizations with educational backgrounds as diverse as education, philosophy, training, the military, and human resources. In part, this level of diversity of backgrounds is because of an initial lack of agreement and formal training regarding the nature and boundaries of the field. Today, however, formal training in the field does exist, in doctoral and master's level programs as well as professional development curricula, including professional certification groups and training firms. In any case, the value of the field of odd to continually embrace new perspectives, practitioners, and approaches is one of its defining characteristics. However, it is also a source of discussion among those currently practicing in and writing about the field. The term recruitment refers to a set of organizational activities and practices that are intended to attract new hires to an organization. The goal of recruitment is to generate applicants who are qualified for employment, who will accept employment offers, and who will ultimately succeed on the job. Recruitment is an important complement to employee selection. Recruitment generates a pool of applicants from which organizations can select new employees and influences the likelihood that the most desirable candidates will accept the organization's offer of employment. Effective recruitment is essential to organizational success. In recent years, scholarly research and the business press have documented the importance of human capital to organizational performance. Recruitment is the process by which human capital is drawn to the organization. Indeed, the search for qualified employees is frequently referred to as a war for talent, a phrase that clearly conveys the importance of recruitment. Recent research suggests that recruitment can have significant impact on applicant quality, which, in turn, can lead to significant productivity advantages for the hiring organization. Work motivation is one of the most central and highly researched topics in industrial organizational psychology. Even the earliest textbooks in IO psychology addressed motivation and
topics related to it, such as morale, job attitudes, productivity, and job performance. Several definitions have been offered, but the one adopted here was first advanced by the author in 1984. Work motivation originates within and beyond the individual to initiate and determine work-related behavior. It is also important to distinguish between motivation and its antecedents and its consequences, particularly the latter. Observers often conclude that a person's motivation is low, usually implying not enough effort, or misguided, inappropriate. Goals, on the basis of observing low standards of performance, which is the accomplishment of some standard or criterion. This conclusion is often false, resulting in what social psychologists refer to as the fundamental attribution error, attributing low judged performance to low motivation, a characteristic of the individual. Considerable research and theory show that Performance is a multiplicative function of motivation and individual ability as well as the constraints or opportunities offered by the context in which work is occurring. These distinctions are more than a matter of theoretical or conceptual semantics. They have real, important applied implications if one is to understand job performance, employee withdrawal, in its various forms, creativity at work, career choices, and myriad other work-related phenomena. The source of a poor performance is frequently the context or the person's ability to do the job.